All right, let's call the meeting to order for May 9th, 2023 at 6 p.m. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Will the clerk please take the roll?
Councilmember Joseph Richardson.
Present.
Councilmember Joshua Crossman.
Here.
Councilmember Holly Smith. Here. Councilmember Brian Hess. Here. Councilmember Ashley Brooks. Here. Councilmember Terry Kaminsky. Here. And Mayor Joe DePinto.
Here. Before we go, there's a seat. There's some seats in the back over there. All right. And we get an agenda approval. Councilmember Hess.
The agenda as presented.
Second. Councilmember Kaminsky got the second. Is there any discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion carries. All right, we got a couple of special presentations. Also for anyone, we'll do public comment here right after these public special presentations. But if anyone wants to address the council or city, go ahead and fill out one of these blue cards. I think they're right out front. Hand them on in and we'll get you going. And it's right after these special presentations. So first, we got a proclamation for Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. Whereas Asian American Pacific Islander AAPI Heritage Month is observed during the month of May to recognize contributions and influence of AAPI persons as part of the whole history, culture, and achievements in the United States. And whereas AAPI Heritage in the United States was celebrated at least as early as 1978, was made into a month-long event in 1992. And whereas during AAPI Heritage Month, we acknowledge AAPI persons have lived and worked in the United States for more than 200 years and have made significant contributions to all facets of the United States, such as economy, culture, education, politics, arts, law enforcement, military, literature, science, and technological developments, despite institutional and systemic injustices designed to silence and corrupt those achievements and contributions. And whereas during AAPI Heritage Month, we acknowledge the additional determination, hard work, and perseverance AAPI persons must put forth to be heard and seen, and that these additional efforts are a result of inequitable institutional and systemic justices. And whereas we celebrate the achievements and contributions of AAPI persons that enrich our history, society, culture, we must also acknowledge a darker aspect of AAPI experience in America, which includes painful stereotypes, structural discrimination, injustices, and periods of hate and violence. These actions come at the cost of mental health to the AAPI community and distorts the larger community's ability to recognize the humanity in all. And whereas diversity represents one of our greatest strengths, and by recognizing the contributions and accomplishments of AAPI persons, our city will put our values of inclusion into practice to build a brighter future for all our residents. And whereas Yelm is proud to celebrate AAPI Heritage Month and commemorate the essential contributions, sacrifices, and accomplishments of the AAPI. And now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Mayor Joe DePinto, hereby recognize May as Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month in the city of Yelm, signed in the city of Yelm, Washington, this 9th day, May 2023. Councilmember Crossman.
Two things, if I may.
Sure.
With regards to that. Number one question, I was wondering this today when we read through that. Why are all those people groups lumped together in one big old happy family when there's vast diversity between Pacific Islanders, Laotians, Thai, Chinese? It seems weird to me that you would lump a whole bunch of cultures all in one that are completely different from each other.
Sure. As an Asian American myself, I get that. It is lumped in because that's how the United States Congress did it when they officially recognized this month. And so that's as well as the state of Washington, and that's what we model this after and which we recognize.
Second
Sure.
point, if I may. Just real quick, I kept all things brief.
Yeah.
So the proclamations don't actually highlight anything specific, so I would like to highlight something specific that happened recently, that an actual injustice against, I'm going to read this because I wrote it down, AAPI communities and others by Washington State Attorney General Bob Ferguson and our Governor Jay Inslee. They have recently passed legislation that strips the AAPI communities and others of their constitutional rights, both federally and state rights, if you have been following along. And it also puts hundreds, if not thousands of them potentially out of work. Companies that have made great strides in these communities, putting people to work, especially those that English is a second language, which I know some of these companies have done great strides to make sure, especially like the Vietnamese community, for instance. They are strongly encouraged to come work for them. Well, they are forced to lay off hundreds of their employees, but multiple lawsuits have been filed. Hopefully, our judges will see that this is unconstitutional, these are violating people's rights, and that, people don't have to fear to lose their job because of recent legislation, these egregious violations. So that's something that's happened recently. Wanted to highlight that because it affects all of us.
Thank you for your comments on the mayoral proclamation. All right, moving on to item B under special presentations. We got Cheryl Haywood, Executive Director of the Thurston County Library, joining us on Zoom here. Cheryl, how are you?
Good. I'm recovering from a cold, so I'm going to have to talk a little bit, but I'm going to power through this presentation.
Cheryl, could you pause just a second? We're going to turn up the volume here. Just give us 1 second. Yeah, just give us 1 second. All right, go ahead.
Okay, so good evening, Mayor, Council members. Thank you for welcoming my initiative. As you know, the library serves 550,000 people in Pacific Northwest Libraries in Thurston County. Trust me, very interesting that you let all over are your County Board of Trustees, and as you know, Eric Callan is Yelm Library Manager. The library 2022 report, which is also available at our RG. Across the county, there's union collaboration and business. So here are the 2022 highlights based on preliminary library 2022 direction, which focuses on how to diversify, partnering with agencies to support the community and local communities in increasing library presence in underserved communities. So here's some highlights. There's 12% increase in library hours at 29 libraries. And Yelm at Tuesdays and Wednesdays at 7, Thursday and Friday 9 to 6, and Saturday 9 to 5. In 2022, we introduced only Thursday activities for ages 1 to 6 and their caregivers called Where you can go down to the library and west a little booklet about reading that child favorite book from age 6. Available in English and in Spanish. There was a in-person library program last summer. Over 9,600 people attended 652 programs. This year, the library program is first, so August 31st. Last fall, we had story time, baby story time, dog story time, school story time, family story time. You can find out more about all the time programs and libraries Last year, we used iPads for in-line libraries in all 29 libraries. We expanded our library things to include stargazing kits, new kitchen tools to check out, new plankton to get specific shellfish institute, early math acts for ages 3 through 8, and we added fish kits and checkout Washington kits and food cover. We expanded access to our 6 libraries and included more clearing in Yelm, which means that people who are age 14 can opt in and access the library beyond the time they have there, from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. daily, including holidays. Last year, 5,423 library cards during library sign-up month last September, and invited new library cards by the one that is getting 2023 backpacks. We opened up the 29 library cards prairie to the library with a great group of 5 away. We opened on Sunday the west end of the library backpack hall. We welcomed 53,000 new libraries in 2022. So here are some statistics about how Yelm residents use Timberland Regional Library. There was a whopping 57% increase of physical checkouts. So people checked out 57% more items like books, DVDs, compared to 2021. So in 2022, it was 129,256 items checked out. In terms of overtime checkouts, overtime items download e-book, e-audio, and e-magazine, there was an increase of 12% from 2021 to 2022. And in 2022, there were 54,435 downloads. So now we will highlight 2023. There will be a library contest for ages 5, 6 to 11, 12 to 18 that will run June 1st, July 15th, and a winner will be selected from each age group, and library winners will be named from winners. We introduced electric charging stations at the Salton Library in 2012 with partners in Energy West. We are going to be offering a site at the end of the year. All libraries as a next-gen site for cross-qualified region, helping locally business owner and any person looking for a job. And really, I've been in the half network now for about 7 years. The ED was one committee that oversees the region. We are supporting and advocating for the lower part of the library, which is the work for AAI registered child and child receive free book. From until the child turns 5, that's about 60 books the child will receive free. So we are here in conjunction with child care action. We are also part of the Thurston County Broadband Management Team, working on a connected plan and free broadband infrastructure that is due to the state level to work for then going after funds in a little August, which could bring in $1 million into the billion. That's all the that is relevant to times we're living in. Library education times are no money. Better than money education times is no libraries. Thank you again for this opportunity. You have a lot of questions.
Thank you, Cheryl. Council, is there any questions? All right. Thank you very much, Cheryl. I appreciate you attending. All right. We are now moving on to item number 4, public comment. If there's anyone else that hasn't, we got 4 signed up. Anyone else that wants to sign up, please turn in a card. And they're located out there. If you want to go ahead and make a comment. All right, we'll go ahead and start with LaDonna. Please come up, state your name, and yeah, and excuse me, there are 3 minutes, so everyone knows there's 3 minutes.
Way past.
Yeah, 3 minutes to discuss. Once, let me start the timer here. Once you're at about 30 seconds, I'll go ahead and raise my hand. Once your time's up, I'll ask you to wrap things up and finish your thoughts. All right, hold on for just 1 second. Usually Kathy does this.
Over here.
Oh, geez. You got it ready?
Yeah, I took it off.
Oh, now you took it off. Good? All right, please start, LaDonna.
Okay, I'm LaDonna Hockaday, known as Lady L, and I am the one that's putting on the Pride Fest and the show. And I put on the Mermaid Fest here in town, and I've done previous events. Last year I did 6 events, but since my life has gotten so busy, I've had to break it down to just 3 events for the year. But anyway, I just want to address, it's unfortunate that here we are back again for the 3rd meeting discussing my event, and I just think it's unfair to the city council members and to the mayor and just everyone here that we're still harping on this. I mean, y'all have more important things to worry about and discuss in our city than my show or my event. I feel, that's my opinion. It's gonna happen, so people just need to just not keep griping about it. It's going to happen. I've paid my fee. I filled in my app, and it will continue to be a yearly event. This will be going on every year, and next year we will be doing a parade around the park. That is our whole group is going to be getting and discussing that for next year. And there will be a drag show next year, but next year's drag show, I'm going to put 18 and up next year. That way, I think that's what's going on here. People are just griping about the children coming. But that's the parents' right. You know, if you don't like it, don't come to it. I've seen so much hate and discontent on social media, and I have sat back and I haven't even addressed it because I won't. But I'm getting tired of it. But I still love everybody, and I just sit back and watch all these hateful comments, and people say there's no hate in this town. Well, there is a lot. And all of the comments I've seen, I took screenshots of from all of the people here and around the areas. I've saved in a file with all their hateful comments and their pictures of a wood chipper saying a friendly drag show, and the children go through the wood chipper. That is terrible for someone to put that on Facebook, which I turned in and it was removed immediately. There should be charges brought against that person. That there's something wrong with that. That's like a death threat right there for kids. But I just want to say it's going to happen. No one's going to stop it. I have all of the news media coming out next week to interview me. Someone reached out to them. I've got every news station coming, to interview me. And so I'm nervous about that, but I guess it's went this far, and Yelm just needs to get used to it. And Joe, when you become mayor, you did a proclamation or whatever, and you made Pride Month of June in Yelm. I remember that. And thank you for that. I have a lot of respect that you did that. You're a good mayor. This is a good city council. I respect every one of you, regardless of your opinions. We can all agree to disagree.
Final thoughts, please. Final thoughts? Time's up.
So anyway, I just want y'all to know that, and I'm not going to cover up the windows now. We've had a discussion, me and a lot of my group and different people. We're going to have the windows open because I'm not hiding anything. It is a G-rated show, so.
Thank you. All right, Rachel Haskins. Please state your name for the record and go ahead and speak.
Good evening. My name is Rachel Haskins. I am standing here because I believe the Lord calls all of us to protect children. I have a few questions and comments I would like on the record. The word love has been polluted to mean acceptance and affirmation. That is not what the word love means. The Bible teaches us the word love involves sharing truth, discipline, respect, correction, and love is not boastful. Love does not parade itself, and love does not rejoice in iniquity. See 1 Corinthians 13:4-8 for a full definition. Parents discipline and correct their children out of love, not hate. I have a few questions, as I mentioned. Number one, I would like to find out, some of these are legal conversations. So number one, what does LaDonna Hockaday have licensing with the state of Washington under the name LaDonna Hackworth? Which one is the legal name? Number two, during the city council meeting on 4/11/23, LaDonna said, quote, a G-rated show. It's not going to be provocative, no nudity, like a regular drag show that I used to do in my past. because my other shows are more for the, this is more child-friendly, end quote, so that you can reference that on 4/11/23. So my question is, are the other shows LaDonna promotes adult shows? My other question is, how is this show being changed to be G-rated? Number 3, per state and city codes, this show is only permitted in the community center because LaDonna said it was G-rated, meaning no sexual content or nudity around minors. In the city of Yelm, under Municipal Code 5.52, this show would not have been allowed in the community center if it contained adult content. If this were adult entertainment, there are special business licenses and requirements per Yelm City Code 18.66. The business would not be able to operate within 660 feet of the community center and spaces where children, churches, daycares, or schools are present. You can reference that code if you'd like to know more places, please. Please review Yelm Municipal Code 5.52 for definitions of, quote, specific anatomical areas, end quote, and, quote, specific sexual activities, end quote, to understand what is considered adult entertainment. Number 4, are there consequences if for some reason this turns into an adult show with minors present? Number 5, would the city be willing to do background checks on each of the performers using their legal names? The flyer shows the names Tina Turntable and Rotundra, and another flyer that has the names Carabiner and Demona Darling. Are these performers required to carry their own business license to operate in the city of Yelm and Washington? Do these performers typically perform in adult shows? Would LaDonna be willing to give a mini drag show at a separate date prior to June 10th for the city council to preview for kid appropriateness? We are called not to judge our neighbors.
Please.
We are called to love one another as Jesus loved us. John 13:34. I am present at this meeting to show love for our children and for this community. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Barry Miller? State your name.
Barry Miller, also known as Santa. Got a couple things. One of them is the relationship that this wonderful town has with our senior adult center, which is robust at this time. We are having the time of our lives. It is not a place where people just come sit in their walker or wheelchair and wait to die. They're very active. And I want to thank the city for increasing their financial commitment to help us. And also, we want to get Cody kind of rolled in here because we want to talk about some landscaping. And I know Debbie is listening to us tonight and probably get into the weeds on some of that. But anything that we have a need, we feel comfortable coming to you. And we really want to find a reader board or find a good resource for that so that we can communicate with our people at 98597. And it's a wonderful thing, and just want to encourage you to keep going and keep helping us because these are truly good days. Segue, next thing, parade. I'm excited, Christmas is almost here. But in the meantime, we have the one coming up here for Prairie Days. And I've got a bunch of people who used to be part of the parade who drive trucks, and they have businesses with dump trucks and stuff. And other groups around always have a pretty good contingent of commercial traffic, and these people contribute to this community, and they want to be part of that. So I'm going to be looking at who makes those decisions, because I already know you guys got Teflon coating on you in a lot of ways, but I'm going to be looking for how those things are done, and how we get to that, and how we can increase the reach of this parade safely and exciting and good for the kids. This is wonderful. And thank you for the API. I love hugging on this guy, and he's got that Salone to him, and he's so cuddly, who could complain? And that's it. That's kind of what I do. Other than, I don't want this town to turn into Jerry Springer reprise. Thank you.
Thank you. Kelsey Turner.
My name is Kelsey Turner, currently stationed at Joint Base Lewis McCourt, and my biggest thing is I'm really upset with the amount of hate that I'm seeing on the social media platforms regarding this drag show. I grew up in Las Vegas, so it might just be a personal bias of mine, and I might be desensitized to it. But when I grew up, my parents used to take me to shows like that, the family-friendly drag shows and stuff like that, and it was fun. I enjoyed every minute of it. So listening, because I sat in on 2 meetings ago, listening to a lot of the concerns, and I understand a lot of them are validated, the concern for provocativeness and exposure, and talking to LaDonna and understanding how she's putting on the show on, how she's going to run it. I'm myself, I'm going to help run security. And just the question I have for everybody that, sorry, it's been a long day. The question I have for everybody is, what are the concerns that we can negate right here and right now? Solve the problems and just have fun. Because this is something new, this is something exciting. I'm looking forward to it. Because I love the small town mentality. I love being a part of a community that just, again, we use this word love. I love being part of a community that loves each other. I love being that close-knit group because it reminds me of the military. So again, what are the concerns that everybody has, and how do we negate those concerns? How do we move forward and just have fun? And that's really all I have.
Your comments in your service, sir. Rebecca Bailey.
Well, my name is Rebecca Bailey. I'm a local licensed independent clinical social worker. And I just wanted to add to the discussion on the Pride event and the drag show. There's been a whole, like the gentleman before me mentioned, there's been a lot of negative comments put out on this event. A lot of people somehow confusing drag shows and pedophilia. There's no evidence whatsoever. I work in behavioral health, I have for 40 years, that anybody involved in drag is a pedophile. The pedophiles, 80% of pedophiles are straight men. So I'm not quite sure how the connection got put together, but it's been just the last couple of months, and it's blown out of media in a huge way. It's way over exaggerated. It's not even reality. There's no association between drag events and pedophilia and grooming children. The word grooming has become a big buzzword right now. It makes no sense whatsoever. There's no association. It's meant to scare people, to rile people up, for hate, to spread hate, not love. And again, if we're trying to get this community pulled together, we would want to support people of all kinds of backgrounds, all kinds of different people. Just a reminder that there is, according to the Constitution, a separation of a church and state. So when somebody comes up and discusses religion, that we're not here to discuss religion. This is a county or a city meeting where religion would be a separate issue outside of what politics or counties or cities would be talking about. Religion is not a part of this. So I just wanted to point that out and to remind everybody that drag shows have nothing to do with pedophilia. There's no such thing as grooming children at a drag show. That doesn't happen. It's not a thing. It's meant to incite people and upset people, and it has no basis in reality. So please remember that that's not a thing. There's no association except for some people in the media who have made a big deal out of something that does not exist. Pedophiles generally don't meet children at drag shows. They generally prey upon children and their families and children in their neighborhoods. They don't prey upon children at a drag show. That's not a thing. That doesn't happen. I think that's all I had to say, so thank you.
Thank you. We do have one more. And we do have one more online. Please state your name for the record, and we'll unmute you or add you to the panel here to get you going. 1 second. Almost there. believe you've been elevated. Can you hear us?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yep. Please state your name and go ahead and make your comments.
My name is Daniel. Last name is Ross. Citizen, I live here out in Yelm. And I keep hearing all this anti-hate from the drag show that people are showing on hate. But I'm wondering, is the city of Yelm ready hate from the leftist activists known as Antifa that usually come to drag shows to help protest the people that are anti-drag show. So I'm just wondering, the city of Yelm, the Yelm League ready for something like that. And that was basically my comment.
Yeah. We will have extra police during that shift, as we do for many of our bigger events. And so there will be, not directly related to Antifa or anything, but there will be police on duty that day.
Okay.
And also, for those that ask questions directly, there will be emails response for all those. We've already, and Rachel, directly to you, we had staff look at all those, and we're gathering those answers for you. Okay. Absolutely. All right. Is there anyone else that wants to publicly testify? Oh, no. You can go ahead if you want. All right. We're going to go ahead and move on then to our next thing on the list. Do you have a, oh, sorry.
We ask questions or no?
Council wants to ask questions for a particular member or a member of the audience. Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I ask a couple of questions? Okay. Is there, LaDonna first, is there a reason why that you're not making this one 18? You said that you're going to make next year's or whatever 18 and
Yes.
is there a reason why you're not doing that this year? Since that seems to be one of the biggest issues. I guess, I don't
Yeah,
know.
please come to the podium.
Well, this year I was going to do it like that, like I said. And when I did, I had several parents. I don't even know the parents. They messaged me, and I can show you, if the city wanted to see that. Just families are just like, why are you taking our children's rights away? Our rights away as parents, because we want to bring, we should be able to bring our children to a show if it's, not provocative and no nudity. And I was like, well, you're right.
So it's,
I really can't. That was just a decision I made.
but next
And
year,
maybe I shouldn't have done that. I mean, I don't know, maybe that is.
LaDonna, if you would address the council, please.
Maybe that's why it's just caused so much turmoil, is because it's for all ages. Maybe I wouldn't have had to go through all this. It was just 18 and up, but it was just from the parents. Emails that, they reached out to me. And I'm this is a G-rated show. And I did background checks on the performers, and two of the performers that was on there, they're moving out of town, so they're not even going to be there. So I have a Walt Disney drag queen that does Disney songs, and so, but they're not pedophiles. They don't have a record.
yeah, my question is age. Okay.
But I just wanted to put that out there too, but if people want to come, just purchase a ticket, come and see for yourself that I have nothing to hide, and it is going to be a very clean show. There's not going to be nothing provocative.
Yeah, well, I was just curious why, if that seems to be the big thing.
Yeah, and so next year, I will do the 18 and up.
Okay.
From now on.
Thank you.
I won't allow it.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember, did you have another
Just one
question?
real quick, Rachel, thank you. Sorry. Just wanted to say thank you. I have researched myself all the codes from and everything and asked a ton of questions. So just thank you for doing
I
that.
think my intention is we also have to protect the city. I'll stand. We also have to protect our city. I mean, at this point, I understand everybody has freedoms and things like that, but we also have to remember that even if, let's say, a parent was physically abusing their child, I'm taking it out of this context for just a second, but if a parent was physically abusing their child, we would not allow that. The state would step in and actually remove that child from that home. And there are specific sexual conversations that also fall under abuses. So again, I'm not saying this is what that is. That's why I've asked questions of even the promoter here to answer regarding these specific things. And if these things could be answered, obviously that would certainly flesh out a lot of concerns the community has as well, frankly.
Thank you.
Councilmember Crossman?
I would like to see Rachel's questions answered as well, to hear those.
You done that, sir? We've
I
already.
actually have new ones, just so you know. I added, sorry, I gave you guys an email because I really wanted to find out some answers, but some of the content of today was a little bit different, like the suggestion about the mini drag show for you guys, so you guys could preview it and see if you felt comfortable with it. Again, I don't know if that's something that's even possible for the promoter or not. I'm trying to make some way for everybody to feel like this is somehow safe for our children in this community. So those kinds of questions are new to this meeting.
Thank you. Who is spearheading Prairie Days Parade? Is it Chamber, City? Chamber? Okay. Chamber is spearheading
They
the,
always blame it on the chamber.
I just want to clarify who's heading that up this year, because questions have been asked on that.
You want to be part of the parade, the chamber is the ones to,
Chamber is the one to go to.
and all that stuff. Chamber.
Okay, and then finally, Mr. Turner,
Yes, sir.
you said you're running security. Do you operate a security company?
No, sir, I'm just helping out.
You just tell, okay, so what does that look like that you're running security?
Not helping with security, sorry, I misspoke, sir.
Okay, what does that mean?
Just making sure that everybody's minding their P's and Q's, sir.
Explain that,
Councilmember,
so everyone can do
that's a
that.
direct question. Let him respond.
So do you have a specific question, sir?
Okay, you said you're running security. What does that look like? What does that mean?
I misspoke when I said running security, sir. Do you want me to stand up there, sir?
I can hear you, but yeah, either or, I don't care. I want to make sure we're clear what that means. You're helping with security.
Just making sure that everybody's minding their P's and Q's, that if anything happens on either side, sir, that everybody is correcting in the appropriate manner. So if there's a disagreement, come in as mediators, try to negate the disagreements. If that.
Work with law enforcement in that meeting.
Yes. Take the appropriate action in case there's, God forbid, something happens. And also
We've
provide.
already received threats that Proud Boys were coming, so.
Well, okay, so the reason I asked this question, this is for the city to consider as well, is the liability, because I am involved in other organizations, and there is a lot of liability. When you say you're running security, there's a lot of liability that runs into that. And if something happens, the city, I don't want to, so my job is to protect the city. So you're saying with security and something happens, there's some liability the city will be involved with.
I understand.
If you're promoting and you have security there, I'm sure there's steps that the city would have to follow, I would hope, to make sure that we're safe from liability in case something was to happen from lawsuits and stuff, litigation, stuff like that. Being that I've been involved in organizations and we've talked about this, it's a security issue, that's why I'm bringing up this concern, is when people start touting they have security, but they're not actual security, they don't have an actual company, it opens up people to litigation, and I hope we're protected against that.
Any other further questions? Councilmember Kaminsky?
You can speak to Donna, but I just wanted to ask you, how many tickets are actually sold to children? And are you sold out? How many people are attending this event? Like, are we talking kids?
There's actually probably only 5 children.
Kids, okay.
The rest are all adults. I'm almost sold out of tickets. I've got almost 80 vendors for the Pride Fest, and they're still coming in, so it's probably going to be 100, I would say. That's not counting the food trucks. I just wanted to say, maybe I shouldn't say security. I should say volunteers. What I mean when I said security was a lot of active and retired military have offered to come and do help volunteering with keeping the door. So like at the show, no one's going to be able to come in that building, okay, unless you have a ticket. Your name's on the will call. You won't be able to come in. So they're going to be in the lobby, and they're going to make sure people come in. You give them their name. If you purchase tickets, it'll be on a will call. You will be escorted in, and then through the other doors to your seat. So that's what they're going to be doing. Nobody will be able to enter that building unless they have a ticket.
Thank you, LaDonna. Any further questions from the council? All right, we will move on to our consent agenda. Item 5. We have just the April 25th, 2022 regular meeting minutes.
Move that we approve the consent agenda.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Smith. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion carries. Moving on to new business, item 6. We have the farmer's market agreement. Cody, is Cody?
Nope, that's me.
You, okay. Let's go, Todd.
Hey, Council, Mayor, so what you have in front of you is the approval, or asking for approval of the farmer's market agreement from May 27, 2023 to September 30, 2023. Just a couple highlights, some key facts going forward. The previous agreement ran from April 2018 through October of 2022. To allow for a rental of the community center on peak rental days, the City of Yelm worked with representatives to come up with an alternative space for the farmer's market for this year. From May to September, the farmer's market will operate on a portion of Mackenzie Street Southeast, directly across from the community center. All residents on Mackenzie Street will have access to their property during the farmer's market, and we have made contact with all the homeowners on that street to make them aware of that. The farmer's market contract has been reviewed by our city attorney. The agreement has been reviewed by the farmer's market board, and they agree to the terms of the agreement. And all vendors at the farmer's market will be required to have a business license with the City of Yelm that will be verified weekly by city staff. Are there any questions?
Councilor Hess, then Crossman.
I saw that for restroom facilities, they have access to the community center for that. Is that correct? I understand that we have a code issue in reference to being able to bring out porta potties. Am I correct on that, Director Colt? That we cannot, somewhere along there's code that says we are discouraging bringing out porta potties to increase that capability. Is that correct, or was that misunderstood?
I think, so we don't allow porta potties as a permanent restroom facility, but temporary restroom facilities are allowed, so they could theoretically use porta potties if they had to, if they had to bring them out, so they could use them.
Okay, that was something I wanted to make sure that we can clarify for future, maybe not this year, but for next year, that something like that, especially once we get our one-way couplet put together and all.
Councilor Crossman.
In regards to the insurance requirement, it's only 1 million. Everything that I see and do is at least 2 minimum. I'm just kind of curious why it's only 1. Is that low? Is that something that's carried over from the past and it's have been updated?
Yeah.
To that has caught my eye because everything I do is 2 million. So
Yeah, so that was discussed with the city attorney to make sure that that met our enough to cover, because obviously, like you said, the previous 5-year one was the same, $1 million. So he didn't have any concern with that. He felt that that was still sufficient for that to operate. So, but we did discuss that with him.
Any further questions? Councilor Kaminsky.
I would like to move to approve the farmer's market agreement from May 27th to September 30th, 2023.
Is there a second? Second by Councilor Hess. Is there any further discussion? Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion carries. Moving on to new business, item 6B. We have a professional services agreement with SCJ Alliance for one-way couplets, parking lot, and an activated alleyway. Cody, I believe this is you.
Yeah, this is me. Just really quickly, I want to introduce behind me is Brad Chatwood, our new project manager for the city of Yelm. As you know, Patrick Hughes stepped up to city engineer in the city. That left a vacancy in project manager, so Brad Chatwood was promoted internally. The reason he's here tonight is because he will be doing these slowly going forward, so he's just kind of here to get a feel for council, make sure that he doesn't get beat up the first time he presents. So he's a good guy, and he's just tagging along today. If you have any questions or anything for him, he's happy to answer them. So it's just some highlights of the professional services agreement for you. As council knows, in the budget for this biennium, you allocated roughly $2 million to build one-way couplets, parking lot, and an activated alleyway. Once we got authorization from council that the budget was approved, we started working with SCJ. We put out an RFQ, request for qualifications. SCJ Alliance responded. Since they created the downtown corridor plan that talked about the one-way couplets, we feel they were best fit to do the project. So they came with us for proposal. This is a proposal in front of you. There's a couple of things that are highlights in here that include is they recommended doing studies on 2nd Street and 3rd Street to see if they could be converted into one-ways at the same time. Originally, I had not thought of that, so that is just something that was added in. The other part is this will create conceptual designs for each of these features, along with price tags. Since our price tags we have are from 2017, obviously in the last 6 years, things have grown quite a bit, so this will give us an accurate pricing before we individually build each of these. So we're not getting our head over water where we don't know how much something's going to be or it's way more expensive when we start design work on it. I'd be happy to ask any questions about it. For the citizens, we talked about this, but this is 2 one-way couplets here on Washington Street and Mackenzie to turn them into one-ways to allow for events to expand and go bigger, along with street lighting, plugins for food trucks, stuff like that, putting in sidewalks the rest of the way, turning this alleyway back here into an activated alleyway that the restaurants, other things could use for seating, outdoor seating, walking, maybe in the farmer's market in the future, and then turning this gravel lot over here that is a parking lot right now into an official parking lot, so businesses in the downtown corridor CBD district have access to parking, so they don't have to have parking on site.
Councilor Hess.
Director Colt, want to say thank you for going through the proposal. Thank you for making sure that when that parking lot is built, that it can be easily converted to multi-level. One of the things I did not see in there, it's been discussed multiple times at our various meetings, in reference to the one-way when it comes to the parking. To have back-end parking, please ask them to please present the study on that, due to the fact that it's Seattle and a variety of other cities that have those. They have shown that they have reduced accidents and things like that when you have back-end parking versus head-end parking for one-way streets. So please make sure, if you could, make sure they have that as part of their design.
I think they're going to study the different.
Well, that's what I meant.
That'll be an option that absolutely they would take a look at.
Thank you.
Councilmember Crossman.
It's called.
Yes.
Explain for the public how the city can build a parking lot without a building, whereas businesses can't build a parking lot.
Businesses can build a parking lot in the city. Satellite parking is
in the CBD.
Central Business District, yes.
Oh, that's the distinction. Okay. Thank you for that clarification.
We are, we are working on allowing satellite parking in other districts as well. So
that would be beneficial to the city. Secondly, this could be rhetorical, or you can answer it, you don't have to answer it. I am curious how the city is more than willing to spend over $2 million for 2 streets we already have to improve, where there is one street that's only $1 million that gets used every single day by lots of people, but the city does not want to spend the money on Algiers.
Well, they fixed that, so I thought
It's not fixed.
they opened up. They opened it for their tenants. But do you want to go talk about what they've done?
I'll talk about
I know what they've done, but I mean, this.
I want to drip.
So just quickly, Algiers, they didn't make so I know they talked to the owners, the post office did do some improvements on the giant pothole, so they did move it back. I don't, that's private road, so we don't, but they moved, I saw they moved it back when I visited one of the businesses in there. I was like, oh, that's cool. Great that they did that. As for why we do one thing or the other, I just do what is budgeted, that council approved. So you guys budgeted and approved a one-way couplet, so that's what I'm designing and working on. So thank you for approving that for me.
You're welcome.
Any other questions, comments? Councilmember Smith.
I move to authorize Mayor DePinto to sign a professional services agreement with SCJ Alliance in the there's a typo, not to exceed amount of $50,480.14.
Councilmember Hess. Second by Councilmember Hess. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. Motion carries. All right, moving on to old business, item 7, it's not scheduled. Moving on to standing council committee reports, number 8, starting with the Public Safety Committee.
Public safety, the police department is moving forward with the new report management system that I mentioned last week or last month that will greatly help them when they're doing their reporting. Chief Carlson attended the spring 2023 terrorism threat briefing for the Southwest Washington Anti-Terrorism Group, and he said it was a very good event. He learned a lot of stuff, so that was good. We are adding a third SWAT position, or there's a third SWAT position option open. And the SROs are finding, they're doing a thing where they're offering, when they pull over students who are speeding, or for another type of, minor moving violation, they're giving them the option of writing an essay rather than actually getting a ticket. And apparently it's going over very well.
That was around when I was there.
He promised he would bring us some of the essays. Well, we want to read them. It's like, yeah, I want to see what they're saying.
Can that be available for adults?
Yeah. I asked him, he said no. Anyway, really, that was it.
All right, thank you. All right, moving on to item 8B, Public Services Committee.
Nothing new to report since the meeting. I already covered it last, but I would like to, because it falls under the area. I just want to make sure that everybody's aware that May 15th at 4 p.m., the Planning Commission will be having a public hearing, and the topic will be in reference to the rezoning of 2 parcels in the commercial district to moderate residential, and it will be held here at City Hall. And so I want to make sure that the public's aware of that. It falls under that. Otherwise, there's nothing else to report.
Good, thank you. Moving on to Standing Council Committee reports, item 8C, Finance Committee. All right, that was a quick one. All right, moving on to item 9, Mayor, City Administrator, Staff Report. City Administrator Todd Stansel, please.
Got a few updates for you, just a couple more from the police side of things. Little changes fast in police, so there's a lot of updates daily. Just a couple. One, our entry-level officer, Mike Siegman, will start the Police Academy on May 25th. Entry-level officer. We still have one vacancy that still exists. They are in the background process with a few applicants right now to get that filled. Today, the police department recognized Officer Nissen as their 2022 Employee of the Year for the police department. And his family came, and it was a pretty good turnout over at the police department today for that. In the emergency management sector, they're having their biannual executive seminar for elected officials. Will take place on June 5th at the Thurston County Emergency Management Building in Tumwater at 5 o'clock. I believe you guys should receive an email on that. That's what that is for. Usually they're taking a dinner order at the same time. If you want dinner, you have to click the box. You will not have dinner when you. From the Human Resource Department, they attended the annual AWC Labor Relations Institute in Yakima last week. Lots of good training. That's an excellent training to go to, so they attended that last week. From the Public Services Department, they have an administrative assistant position that is open. They have over 40 applicants so far as of today. They'll start narrowing that down next week and start the process for those interviews. They also have an available water position that has at least 8 applicants, and interviews will begin next week for that as well. They are prepping the splash pad for the yearly opening, and everything is going very well. It will open by Memorial Day weekend. No promises are made before that. Right, Cody?
Correct. You never know. We get done.
We'll let the mayor make the promises.
You should have it open. No promises, no promises.
Facebook says it'll be.
Yeah, they work.
I'm doing my best. We'll see.
You're out there, yeah.
And the Parks and Streets employees are busy making our city streets and buildings look good. Finance Department, they are wrapping up their 2022 annual report. And then from the executive department, the mayor and I met with several representatives from the military community, discussed a variety of topics and upcoming events and partnerships. That was yesterday. We attended the Chamber of Commerce lunch presentation today, which was excellent by the library. And let's see, we also attended, obviously, the recognition of Officer Nissen, Employee of the Year for the Police Department this morning. Director Colt and I will attend the South Sound Military Community Partnership Annual Breakfast Meeting this Thursday in DuPont. Mayor will be attending the Boys and Girls Club Annual Breakfast this Thursday as well. And the community chat will take place tomorrow at the local.
Yeah.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yep.
Okay, that's all I got.
Report. Any questions? Councilmember Brooks?
In the future, more of a request. In the future, could you please send an email to the counselors in regards to these events happening within these buildings, such as the celebration of Officer Neeson?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Any other questions? For my report, so you might notice on here, we don't have the 3 screens anymore. Our IT department's worked pretty hard on that to change that up. It's also the delay. It was a few seconds, probably a 5-second delay. If you look, it's pretty instant now. So yeah, that was pretty good. And so yeah, thank you IT department for doing that. Good job. Met with the Nisqually Tribe Chair Frank about different meetings that we have. We're going to be setting that up here shortly, probably in August, hopefully, for our meetings. We like to try to meet twice a year, discussing different issues and partnerships that we have. One partnership that came to fruition because of the council's comments between the 2 councils in Nisqually and City of Yelm last year. We are now contracting with them, their construction company, most notably for our stage, but they also joined the Public Works, the state Public Works, Small Works. How do you say it, Cody?
Small Works roster.
Thank you. And so that's awesome. We can use them for other projects as well, but this is just one great example of how we're partnering up with them. So lastly, met with so if you may have heard, there's a new Roy Mayor, City of Roy Mayor now. They had someone in there for, they use a clerk treasurer form of government over there, so they have, we have a city clerk, we're a little bit bigger city, but they have a clerk treasurer, and that person, they hired someone, but that person quit like on Friday of last week or so, and so their mayor reached out to us, and I went down there along with someone from our county, Michael from accounting. Thank you, Michael, by the way. And he went over different best practices and answered some questions. They have a very similar system. It's called BIAS. It's an operating system that we use here for city for accounting and some other things. And give them kind of a rundown on what's going on with how to use it and stuff like that. And so we're trying to help our neighbors out as much as we can. Other than that, let's go into council reports. Councilmember Richardson.
Report.
Okay. Councilmember Crossman.
Highlights, spring cleanup is May 20th. So if you got an email from the city, which I did, or if you're a city resident.
Facebook, you got it right out there, yeah.
I posted it today, so if you would like to get out into the streets of Yelm and pick up garbage, that would be a great day to do it. If we all come together as a community. My kids love doing it when we go out. Every so often I take them. So I'm encouraging neighbors, coworkers, friends, and to make it fun, take pictures, put it on social media to make our town look better. And then, yeah, I think I said enough tonight.
All right. Councilmember Smith.
I attended TCOM, same thing. They need dispatchers, great job, great benefits, great pay.
Thank you, Councilmember Smith. Councilmember Hess.
Meetings are this week that are going to be coming up. Reference to Intercity Transit Authority, Regional Housing Council, and I think it's July, we're going to be having with the Intercity Transit Authority, there's going to be a one-day seminar to discuss where we stand as a region for zero emissions, what the progress is, such. And let's see. Also, want to just let the military members of our community know they are appreciated, May being the Military Appreciation Month, and appreciate Director Colts, appreciate seeing the banners getting up so quickly. And other than that, I have nothing else to report this time.
Yeah, and just off that, we thank you for reminding about that, about the military banner program, and we will be declaring it Military Month later on this month, different meeting. And recognizing particular days as well. But thank you for your report, Councilmember Hess. Is that it?
That's it.
Councilmember Brooks.
I just have one thing very quick, and that's just to recognize that the Red Cross Sound the Alarm event was April 29th, and we did that between Roten Road and Crystal Springs. And what I did with Red Cross is we canvassed homes that were interested in getting their home safer. So we installed over 100 smoke alarms and educated every single family that we came by. And I look forward to seeing more of that, of us taking care of each other and preventing house fires and ultimately homelessness. And that's what I have.
Councilmember Brooks. Councilmember Kaminsky.
I also didn't have any meetings, and I think the only thing I participated in was the Home and Garden Show that I went to. I'm not sure, but there were less signs on the road, I think, than last year, and less going on outside, but once I got into the school, it was very good.
Very good. Yeah. Thank you, Councilman Kaminsky. And thank you all for the public who's attended. We've had a lot of people attend lately and a lot of comments. Appreciate that. You know, these are some hard topics we talk about sometimes. They're very passionate on both sides. The only thing I can say is we try to treat everyone as equal as we can, and we don't try to change rules for things that we don't like, or things that we do like, particularly for treating everyone equal. We often get advice legally on what is legal and what's not. So we try to do the best we can on that and try to treat everyone equal. Other than that, Councilmember Smith?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Can I say something real quick?
This is not the
Joe needs to kick up his game because James isn't here anymore. You need to get something fiery going on there and keep everybody going.
Thank you. Move to adjourn, second by Councilmember Crossman. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay.
See about 5